All our listeners, this is the third installment at the Harare Agricultural Show 2022, and what a delight. On behalf of the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, we bring you another leading insurance player and their representative to discuss, this time, the impact of natural forces on our farmers and general insurance industry's ability to remain productive. And to have that chat with us is Nyasha Mutuva, and great to have you with us, Nyasha. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Patrick, for hosting me. I'm doing very well.
Great. You are particularly involved, from what you were telling me, with farmers, and you get to travel a lot. What are you seeing out there?
Okay, so when traveling, I encounter a lot of things. I work with small-scale farmers. I work with commercial. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been away doing assessments for the wheat crop, the winter crop that we were covering, and also so it's the wheat and barley. So the fields they're looking quite good compared to previous years where we used to have issues to do with frost. But this time around, in as much as frost hit, the effects are not as bad as last season and 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to a great end of the season and putting money in the bag.
Wow, that's terrific. And that suggests an improvement in not only the knowledge that farmers have, but from what you are saying, an understanding of what is required from those farmers in order to achieve the success that they want. Is it a fair assessment?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, great. Well, let's get deeper into it. Like I said in my introduction, natural forces are an increasingly a significant component of farming activity, because you and I can't control what happens. All you and I can do is manage what happens.
Exactly.
And part of managing what happens is understanding that there are natural forces out there. Can we start by you talking about your understanding of what these natural forces are?
Okay, thank you. All right, so of late, I think since 5 years ago, we have been experiencing drastic weather changes, like climate change. Because previously we used to know that our rains, they come in November and then farmers start planting and all. But this time around, you can't predict that. Rains can come in December in some parts of the country. And I recall last year in other areas, they received rains as late as January 1st. That's when they received the first effective rains. So a lot has been happening, affecting our farmers to say they can't plan ahead with climate change happening as it is right now. So yeah, it's one of those issues whereby you start thinking, can farmers think about getting insurance so that they can mitigate some of these risks that can come through?
Wow. I'd like to just zero in on that aspect specifically in terms of the climate change and how it is affecting our country, Zimbabwe, specifically. Would you happen to be in a position to know how the different regions perhaps have been affected?
Yeah, true. So I can give an example of farmers in Natural Region 4, Natural Region 3. So these farmers, they used to get away with planting maize, the short season varieties. They used to do the toko and busy, and they would get a good harvest. But now, because of climate change, it's a different story altogether. Instead of going the maize, the stokos and busy, we are now encouraging these farmers to say, can you go for the small grains, your sorghum, your millet, your rapoko? So yeah, it's changing the practices that farmers used to do previously and how they are supposed to adopt to these climate changes that have been happening.
Right. That's very interesting. Now, from an insurance point of view, given the data I'm sure that you have, what are the solutions that the industry in general is proposing for our farmers? What is the way forward? How can they be better equipped to improve, even over and above the improvements that you've discussed already at the beginning of our conversation?
Okay, so in the industry, I have noticed that we've got many insurance companies that are now providing agriculture insurance in general for crops and even for livestock. So on the agri insurance side for the commercial farmers, we've got the multi-peril cover that is being on offer. So this one, it covers most of the major risk. It is drought, excessive rains, flooding, windstorm, hailstorm damage. So all those effects are covered. So the commercial farmers can choose that option. It can choose that option and cover their crops. And then on the small scale side, there's also weather index insurance, and I'm happy to say that our regulator is also working around on coming with a product that also speaks to the small scale farmers on weather index insurance, so that the small scale farmers are also captured in the insurance space, because previously small scale farmers, they were not part of they couldn't get insurance in the market. So now it's available, weather index insurance that protects them against drought and excessive rains.
That's very interesting. Weather indexing. And to all our listeners, this is a particular intervention that you are likely to hear more of on this platform in the near future. And just as Nyasha has indicated, it is something we will keep you updated upon in the not too distant future. But let's talk about the farmers themselves, because you are in touch with them. What is the response that you are receiving? And are there behaviors perhaps that you would like to see more of and perhaps less of?
All right, so on the commercial farmer side, we don't have major issues because they understand. If you give them the policy documents, they go through them and understand what is covered and what is not. And then we've got this new group of farmers that we have started capturing in our stable, the small scale farmers. A lot of training is required so that they understand how insurance works. Right. Agriculture insurance works. Because some of these farmers, they expect us to say, in the event that they've bought insurance, drought insurance or excessive rainfall insurance, if the weather is good that season, they still expect a payout. So there is need for sensitization, training, continuous engagements, so that they appreciate how insurance works.
That's terrific, actually. So farmers, if you are out there and you happen to be part of this conversation, it is important for you to maintain your contact with the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, and through them contact with your individual service providers so that you better understand the kind of deliverables you can expect from the insurance companies. Mm-hmm. But having said that, are there specific products or covers that you would like to share with our viewers that you think are worth perhaps them knowing at this point?
Mm-hmm. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, we've got weather index insurance. So this cover, it does cover excessive rainfall as well as drought, and it's available to all our small scale farmers all over the country. So it's available. And then also we've got the multi-peril crop insurance cover. So this one attracts for farmers with 10 hectares and above, so they are able to access insurance for the multi-peril, all the uncontrolled or the unforeseen risks that may come into play during the course of the season. So they are able to be covered. And then we also have the extension that I mentioned. Drought has become prominent of late, as well as the excessive rains. So commercial farmers are also able to access all that in the insurance market.
Right. Well, thank you for that. Mm-hmm. But also just your perspective, because very often we hear that an area that affects particularly the small scale farmers mm-hmm. is their inability at record keeping. What do you see in that area? How can our farmers really improve the record keeping mm-hmm. discipline part of their businesses?
Mm-hmm. All right, so a lot can be done, because we've got the small scale farmers. What we normally encourage them to do is to take agriculture or farming as a business. So if they take farming as a business, they are able to keep records on each and every process or each and every practice that they are doing on their small fields. Mm-hmm. And then also we encourage them to work as groups. So if there's a group, it's like a cooperative. They share ideas, they write notes, they exchange ideas and everything. So that also helps them. If they are working as grouped farmers, it also assists them even in getting finance, because this time around, if they're organized group farmers, they're able to get finance. And then us from the insurance side, we're also able to provide them with insurance, because they are grouped, they are organized farmers. So we are encouraging them not to take farming as just for family consumption, but taking it as a business so that they can get profits out of it.
Absolutely, well, that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. So farmers out there, isolation is dangerous for you. Better rather to work as a community mm-hmm. is what I understand Nyasha to be saying. Mm-hmm. So perhaps as we bring our conversation to an end, Nyasha, mm-hmm. what would your 3 top recommendations be for farmers as they now operate in an environment where natural forces are a much greater risk than before?
Okay, so what I would encourage, or what like my last words that I would give to them, is to say, when you want to start in an agriculture venture, first look at, just identify in the agriculture value chain, identify the major risks that are there. From finance, to say, are you able to get the inputs? Are you able to get the insurance? Are you able to, do you have control over what the weather is going to do during the course of the season? And then when you identify those areas, then look for, is it a finance company that I need? Microfinanciers, they are there, banks are there to provide finance. And then if it's insurance, if you don't have control over, yes, you have put your fertilizer, your herbicides and everything, but still you don't have control over the weather, then that's where now insurance come in. So look for the guys who does insurance, and then they'll assist you to take up the best cover or the best solution for the farm. So I would encourage them, first identify the major risks, and then look for experts in those areas to assist you get the best service.
That's good advice. And viewers and listeners, I'm sure you've heard that good advice from Nyasha Mutua, who is a representative with one of the leading insurance organizations. And all this information is available on a database that is as big as you can imagine with the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe. We are coming to you this year from the Harare Agricultural Show, where we are now talking to the individual service providers who are this week sharing time, spending time with the individual farmers and looking to improve what you know so that your performance can only improve. So Nyasha, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, everybody.
Insurance is there to protect you against the threat of financial loss caused by everyday events. It removes uncertainty by transferring the unknown consequences of losses from theft, fire, floods, or accidents to an insurance company. The protection gained from paying an insurance company a regular sum of money is called a premium. By collecting premiums from many people, the insurer accumulates a pool from which losses can be paid for. We represent short-term insurance companies in Zimbabwe and are here to help you understand how they can help you with everyday insurance, because you never know. For more information, call us on 024